AJ Andrews is a powerhouse, both on and off the field, renowned for her fearless presence and unparalleled talent. Dubbed the Beyoncé of Softball and the first female recipient of the Rawlings Gold Glove, AJ Andrews commands attention, whether she's making magic happen in center field or captivating audiences as an MLB Network personality. From her advocacy for change to her candid conversations over a glass of wine, AJ's voice is one that resonates with authenticity, resilience, and a fierce commitment to making a difference.
Thank you so much, AJ Andrews, for joining me here on AwareNow to share this space, to share your story. Thank you.
As always, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Let's get started this way. An MLB Network personality, camera shy, you're not. You rock the camera, the mic, and any stage you happen to be on with signature style. So the Beyoncé of Softball and first female recipients of the Rawlings Gold Glove, you, AJ, make magic happen on the camera and on the field. I'd like to start with the field. When it comes to your time on the fields and all the moments of greatness there, what is your most magical moment? If there was one moment in your career on the field, what's that moment?
I can think of two. So the first one would be when I was in my freshman year of college playing at LSU, and we went to the World Series. And you grow up, that's the Mecca. That's where you want to be growing up playing softball, and you envision yourself there, but it's so hard to get there. Even if you're on like a really good team, the game doesn't know who's supposed to win. So there's times when you lose to teams that on paper you weren't supposed to lose to. It's very tough to get to the World Series. And so we weren't a team on paper that people should lose to my freshman year. We had two really good pitchers, and that was it, right? And so we really kind of rode the backs off of them. Anyway, we get to the World Series and we lose out, so we're in like the losers bracket, and we're playing USF to see who moves on. And it was like 0-0 going into it was the fifth or sixth inning. The score is still 0-0. We had bases. I think there's runner at second and third. I was at third base, and Allison Falcon hit the ball, and she had to pop up to the shortstop. And just the way the shortstop was positioned and the way she was kind of going back for the ball, I ended up tagging at third base and scored the only run of the game, so the winning run of the game. And it was just crazy because who the heck tags up on a fly ball to the shortstop? And to me, that kind of really, that moment's etched in World Series history. They show that every year for the World Series. For me, it was like one of those moments where I kind of felt like I was etched in who I was. It was foreshadowing who I was to become the next 3 years of my career in softball and collegiately. Someone that's a daredevil, gonna go all the way, and someone that people really, were excited to watch play, but then my opponents also someone that they hated going up against. And so for me, that was definitely my moment when I felt like because throughout the season, I never really felt like I really came into my own or came into who I was as a player. And I feel like that was one of the first moments. And then the next moment would be in pro ball. After I broke my hand, I was very hesitant to make different catches. I broke my hand during seasons. Actually, the season I won the Gold Glove, I broke my hand towards the beginning of the season, and so, but I would still try and play, and it was just excruciating to catch a ball. Imagine trying to catch a ball, and like the vibration of catching a ball going through your broken hand. And so for me, I was very hesitant to make diving catches, to do different things, because I didn't want to re-injure myself or injure myself further, and it just be really painful. But I go backwards on a ball, and I just, like, my mentality is just go in some sort of situations. And so I just went, I completely forgot about my hand, forgot about the pain, forgot about being cautious, and I make this incredible diving catch going backwards. And I think that was the catch that really cemented me into becoming the first woman to win a Rawlings Gold Glove. And I think that was also the first catch that really allowed me to kind of get back into my comfort zone, get back into my flow of who I was as AJ Andrews. And so, yeah, I would say those are two that really stick out to me. And I would say the thing that they have similar is they both allowed me to feel back like myself, the player that I am and the player that I know I'm capable of being.
Those are awesome moments. So let's talk more about, MLB. You've made a home in the MLB and in the hearts of so many of us with your unapologetic voice that values the win that you find in people that you interview, that you speak with, both on and off the field. So now what I'd love for you to share is 2 stories. One of someone who on the field moved you, and one of someone off the field who stirred you.
Probably off the field. So Andre Dawson, who is a Hall of Famer baseball player, he's a Black baseball player, and so but he also, he's much older, so he was like the direct reflection, or he received the biggest impact post Jackie Robinson, or even really during Jackie Robinson. And so, I think being able to have those conversations with him and how he's been able to see baseball change, like right before he began to play, him watching Jackie, to him playing during that time, to him now being able to speak to the Black baseball players today, and about being able to grow baseball and to understand that they do have value and they do have a space, and that, baseball and the excitement that baseball is backed upon was really placed on the Black athletes that came from the Negro Leagues, like the excitement of the stealing bases, the flashy catches, the flashy moves, that those all came from the Black baseball players that came from the Negro Leagues into Major League Baseball. And so I think that for me, I've never been like starstruck by celebrities or different people. I've only been starstruck by like civil rights leaders or people that have a lot of ambition and a lot of courage. And I think to me, being a Black athlete in a time when people didn't value Black athletes, Black people in general, and you were still able to go out there and use your voice and use your skill set to show just how valuable you were as not just a player, but as a person, as a human being, and allow other people around you to feel that and also live that and believe that. To me, that's something, just being able to have those conversations with people like that is moving to me, and it always puts things into perspective. So I would definitely say Andre Johnson off the field. And then on the field, I would say one person that I think that I would talk about right now would be Marcus Stroman a little bit, just because he's someone that's been very vocal, and talking about the Loud Edition, very vocal on human rights, on the rights of Black athletes and Black baseball players. And for a time in baseball, those voices would be shunned a little bit and would be shut out. And so he's been viewed as someone that's a little bit, people would call him maybe like a villain, or would call him someone that is maybe doesn't have good chemistry with the team, because he's just very vocal and he's just someone that he will say what he believes in. And in a space where people are like, just play ball, don't speak your mind, that can be very polarizing. But he always stuck to it, and he allowed his skill set to speak for himself. He allowed his words to speak what he believed, but then he also on the field was able to be so good that you just couldn't ignore him. Like, you can't cut him out of your lineup even if you want to. And so to me, I think it takes a lot of courage, right? I'm very moved by people that have a lot of courage and that are able to move through spaces that maybe weren't designed for them, but to show up and make it for them, and thus inevitably making that a space that other Black people, other people look like you, not just Black, that look like you, that have felt like they have been an outsider, you're giving them a table to sit at. And I think he's one of those people that, he got to the top and he sent the elevator back down to help people come up too. And so I think he currently plays with the Yankees, and he's been very vocal about the Yankees and about different things that he's experienced, but now he's with them and he's been able to embrace not just the Yankees, but the Yankee culture and the people around. And I think he's probably a good conversation, especially speaking on those that are very vocal, very loud about what they believe in, but being able to also put your money where your mouth is and your talent where your mouth is. And definitely one of those people that I think of that can do that.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing both of those. Again, I know you just spoke with so many people. It's probably very difficult to When it comes to making noise, to make change, you've been so very loud and proud of your personal position on one thing or another. If there was one change you could call out and champion right now and have everyone hear and see, what would that be, AJ?
I would say it would be to the voice of just women in sports. And, I think that women in sports are getting a much prominent space in the sports space where people are now really paying more attention. You have women out here breaking NCAA records and, showing that they are just as talented and as valuable as the men that people pay so much attention to. And they're just as entertaining, if not more. I mean, I think softball, the World Series for collegiate softball has shown that with more viewership. And then also for March Madness, the women's game, basketball has had exponentially more viewership than the men's for quite some time. So, I think that I would continue to speak out because I think there's still a lot of dollars that don't go towards women the way that they could. I think there's a lot of missed opportunities that you don't see necessarily in men. I think there's a lot of creative ways in which women could be championed, could be sponsored, could be uplifted. And so I would just continue to use my voice to echo the women that have come before me, echo the women that are speaking now, and continue to really speak for women in sports to be able to have all the wonders that men are just so easily given.
You were, we just discussed this, one of our first official ambassadors of AwareNow on the cover of the stand-up edition all that time ago, and participant in the AwareNow talks on racism. We've had the honor to hear and to share your voice. While you continue to work with us, you work with a lot of others as well. So I guess right now, bring us up to speed. What is going on in AJ's world? What have you got in the works right now?
Still working with Major League Baseball, so host a show called Play Ball on MLB Network. I host a show called The Business of Sports on Reach TV. So if you're walking through the airport, just glance up at the TVs every now and then. You may see me on there. Man, I have a show, Vino Talk, with Players TV with basketball player DeAndre, and so it's a lot of different things. I just never shy away from opportunities to really just to grow and have fun. I feel like I have one life, so why not try to do it all? And so that's just like my motto. And I get asked all the time if I'm tired. And I'm like, not yet. I'm sure that'll happen one day, but I'm moving and doing as much as I can while I can.
Absolutely. Well, so, while we're on this topic with Vino Talk, where you get raw, you get real with the glass of wine, AJ, your go-to glass of all the wonderful wines in the world, what's your go-to, girl?
Yeah, I'm the worst. I'm a rookie wine drinker. So anytime I go drink wines with my friends, I'm like, can I have some Moscato? It's like a sin to ever say that. Moscato, the looks, the side eyes, the comments that are made anytime I say that, but that's still my glass of choice. And if there's no Moscato, then I'm gonna ask for some Prosecco with a little bit of cranberry juice. I like sweet stuff. I know, it's crazy. I get looks all the time. I haven't graduated yet. Maybe one day, but I am very secure in my rookie position of Moscato at the moment.
I love it. You rock it, you own it. You say, I'm not going to apologize for my Moscato.
No, I'm not. I like Moscato.
So rock it like you do, and I forgive you.
Yes, I completely understand.
So what pairs well with wine? Well, words do. I'd like to just talk about specific words of yours. Ones that rhyme, poetry. AJ, we were honored to publish in AwareNow your original poem entitled Dear Brown Skin Girl.
Dear brown skin girl, don't be afraid to shine, for your skin is beautiful and your hair divine. Dear brown skin girl, your beauty shines from the outside in, from the courage in your heart to the melanin in your skin. Dear brown skin girl, don't ever doubt your worth, for your beauty shines on every inch of this earth. Dear brown-skinned girl, the world may try to dim your light, and when it does, you just shine twice as bright. Dear brown skin, I'm so proud to call you mine. I will always remember your beauty, and I won't be afraid to shine.
Will you share the story behind these lines that left us in awe?
Sure. Yeah. So, brown skin girl, to me, it's a love letter to Black women, a love letter, honestly, to my younger self, because for a while when I was a child, I was very insecure about my skin. I was made to believe it wasn't beautiful. I was made to believe that if I had lighter skin, I would be perceived as more or as worthy. And, I think that for a long period of my life, or even just beautiful, and for a long period of my life growing up, I would always get that you're pretty for a Black girl, or you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl. And it wasn't until, honestly, my freshman year in college when I really realized just how much of a backhanded compliment that was, and just how much those words were rooted in hate and in so much self-deprecation, especially when it's coming from another Black person. And it wasn't until a friend of mine, because he had heard it, multiple people say it, or maybe he'd been around people that have just been talking about me in that capacity. And he asked me, he's like, does that make you mad when people say that? He's like, does it make you mad when people say you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl? And I was like, to be honest, I never really thought too much about it. And he was like, yeah, it just does, to me, it doesn't sound like a compliment. And, I really began to really look inward and think more about those kind of conversations and realize, oh, wow, no, yeah, that definitely isn't a compliment. Like, you are suggesting that my beauty, or I get asked a lot, what am I mixed with, or where do I come from? And if I would ever just say, oh, I'm Black, it was almost like it wasn't good enough, because that wasn't enough to explain how beautiful I was, right? Like, I had to have been mixed with something else to look the way that I look. I couldn't just be Black and beautiful. And so to me, being able to write that was just a letter to my younger self of how beautiful I was, and how strong I was, how profound I was, and all of this being not despite of my brown skin, but because of it. And to know that and to realize that. And I think that that's a struggle that, a lot of dark women experience, especially if you grow up in spaces where you are one of the only ones. If you don't grow around a lot of people that look like you, or you're in spaces where you're not around a lot of people that look like you, it's very easy to feel left out, or to feel like you don't meet the beauty standard that maybe has been set around you. And so I wanted to remind people that Black women, we are our own beauty standard, and there's no need to compare. And sometimes you just need that reminder. And so I was hoping to be able to be that.
Well, you certainly were. And just, again, a needed reminder, and just beautiful.
Thank you.
So, getting back to words, let's close our conversation this way, AJ. What words of advice would you share with young girls growing up and coming up in these days, in these times? There's just one piece of advice, and I know you've got lots of beautiful wisdom to share. Just one.
I would say one piece of advice would be to go where you're celebrated. And whatever that looks like for you, go where you're celebrated. If you are a person of color in a space where you don't feel like you're being celebrated, find where go where you're celebrated. Oftentimes we're not in a position, or we're not in a place that allows us to fully be who we're supposed to be, to grow where we're supposed to grow, or to be around the people that really want to see us excel. And you have to step into your power. And the only way to step into your power is to be around those individuals that want to uplift that power. And no matter how confident you are and how powerful you know yourself to be, if you're in a space with people that devalue that, you're never going to reach the potential that you could. And I feel like it's so hard for me to stick on one thing, but yeah, go where you're celebrated. And, don't comparisons. People always say, comparison's the thief of joy, but really, to me, comparison, it just lacks imagination. Like when you compare yourself to other people, you are putting yourself in a box, and you put a capacity on how great you could be. You put a capacity on how much further you can go. When you're trying to be like this one person, you don't see the fact that you could go beyond that. And so, I would say, on top of going where you're celebrated, use people as guides, not goals. And allow, if this is like the place you want to go, or you like what they've been able to accomplish, say, okay, cool, that's a guide, right? Or you have multiple guides, but don't make these people your goals, because what the mountain they've been assigned is not your mountain. Like, you've been assigned a certain mountain to show that that can be moved. They've been assigned a different mountain to show that that can be moved. And that can only be moved in front of the people that are celebrating that mountain. Your mountain can only be moved by the people that are celebrating your mountain. So in order to move these mountains, in order to get to where you're supposed to go, you have to make sure that you don't make people your goals. And then when you get to where you're supposed to be, make sure you surround yourself with people that celebrate you. Make sure surround yourself with people that believe in you. Because oftentimes it's not your goal that's wrong, it's the people that you've shared it with.
Yes. Thank you so much for the loud leader that you are for so many. Thank you. Thank you for helping all of us become a bit more aware now. Thank you, BJ.
Appreciate you.